everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be going over my physical TBR, which is the largest that it has ever been. I'm going to explain what makes me want to buy books and how I keep my personal library. So I try really hard to not be someone that collects unread books. I don't really have a lot of space for a personal library right now, but I want my library to be full of books that I want to recommend to people, that I want people to borrow, that I want to hear about someone's experience reading. So because of that, I do a lot of culling. After I've read a bunch of books, I will go through them and I'll decide which books I want to keep and which books I don't want to keep. Typically, these are fluff books that I read to pass the time or I read as light reading, and books that I genuinely didn't like that I won't be recommending to anybody, like just bad books. So with that, I usually have a lot of books that I donate. I have a whole pile right now, so we'll be going over that as well and my reasons for keeping and not keeping a book. But my physical TBR is the largest that it's ever been right now, so I kind of wanted to go through them and explain why this is the way that it is. I love going to Barnes & Noble. I love going to bookstores. I love buying used books. And I am trying really hard to not consumerize my hobbies. So this is, I guess, kind of like a book under consumption core kind of video. So to start, I have a few categories here. I have books that I'm currently reading, books that I like to keep on my shelf for when I need something light, my current syllabus for the season, and then books that I haven't read nor want to get rid of. There are some times where I buy books and it sits on my shelf for so long that I realize that I don't want to read it and I'm never going to want to read it, and so I just donate it. I obviously try to avoid that, but I don't want to keep books that I know that I'm not going to read, especially when someone else is going to get better use out of it. So let's start with what I'm currently reading. So the first book on top of this is A Darker Side of Magic by V.E. Schwab. I am like 136 pages into this book, and yes, my book cover, my bookmark is a straw packaging. I'm just one of those people. Anything can be a bookmark if you try hard enough. This is a really good book. I'm really enjoying it. It's part of my V.E. Schwab video that I'm working on. So I read a lot of V.E. Schwab. I got to this book. I was a little burnt out, but it's a really good read. I'm looking forward to finishing it. The second book on this list is Bram Stoker's Dracula. Also a really good book, but I did start this in like mid-spring and the vibes were just not what I was looking for. But it's a fantastic book, wonderful horror book. I'm really looking forward to finishing this as well. I'm pretty close to finishing it, actually. I'm more than halfway through, but I just wanted to save this until end of the summer, fall, because I just feel like I'm going to enjoy it more. And then Irresistible Force by D.D. Ayers. I picked up this book as a little bit of a joke from a little library. I do enjoy these kinds of books every once in a while when I'm feeling overwhelmed, when my brain just can't handle anything of substance. These are really good escapism books for me, and they're a super fun time. So you're never going to see any judgment from me for what you like to read. This is a crazy smattering of different genres and types of books and levels of reading. So I've read about 100 pages of this, and I'm saving the rest of it for when I need it. Next, we have The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. I am currently reading this. I am almost done with it. You're going to see a video on this shortly. I got a lot more out of this book than I was expecting, so I'm really happy about that. And then Never Let Me Go by Kazuo Ishiguro. I don't know how I feel about this book. I read half of it and then I put it down and I haven't really picked it back up. I am planning on finishing it because it's definitely not a DNF, but the pacing of it is really, really slow. I put down the book at about the halfway point when the environment shifts pretty drastically. So it just kind of stopped me in my tracks and stopped all the momentum that I was working up. But I will also be finishing this before the end of the summer. That kind of covers my current reads. Now, the books that I keep on my bookshelf as little safety blankets are going to be these. I read Before the Coffee Gets Cold. It is such a cute book, and these books are the perfect books to read if you are reading something really intense and you want to calm down, ease your brain off of the heavy material before you go to bed. I like reading before I go to bed. It helps me fall asleep and kind of calm down. Tales from the Cafe. I'm also in the middle of reading this book. This is a really great bedside table book to read. Calvino is also one of those like existential hope kind of people. A little bit absurd, but really fun, really nice. I've read one of his books, or I think I'm in the middle of reading one of his books and I don't know where it is. It's just wholesome material. This is like really good narrative philosophy to read about kind of like making the most out of life and letting your imagination take you where it's going to. So also really light, easy reading that's not going to put too much pressure on your nervous system before bed. And what you are looking for is In the Library by Michiko Ayama. I totally did not pronounce that correctly. Also, just a book to have when I want to read something, I want to be immersed in a story, but I might not have the mental or emotional capacity to deal with something super heavy. Now, on to my summer syllabus. So I have read several books over the course of the summer, obviously. These are the books that I am planning on reading prior to the end of the summer. And it's gonna go in order of thickness because I decided that I wanted to read some more short works and some more novellas and under 200 page books during the summer, just to keep my reading a little bit lighter so that I might be more likely to go outside and participate in social events. So with that being said, I just finished reading No Longer Human by Osama Dazai, and you're going to see a video of my review on that. 10 out of 10 recommend, incredible book. But it made me start to crave more of the existential dread kind of stuff. And before that, I read Brave New World by Aldous Huxley. Video, review, and vlog is out. Go check that out. So I've been craving more science fiction. Annihilation has been a book that I've been wanting to read for a very long time. It also fits the criteria for my summer read syllabus, so I will be reading this before the end of the summer. The Bog Wife by Kay Cronister is like a gothic eco-horror, which I'm also really excited to read. This is going to be toward the end of the summer, and it's going to help me transition into my fall syllabus. Parable of the Sower by Octavia Butler has been a book that I've been wanting to read for a long time, but I just felt like I didn't have like the emotional constitution for it, but I think I'm ready to take it on. This will also be a toward the end of the summer book as well. And then the last two books that are on my list are Dubliners by James Joyce. The only reason why this is on my list, if I'm being perfectly honest with you, is because Cillian Murphy recommended it in a interview. So I'm gonna read it. But it's also a collection of short stories, and it fits the criteria for my summer syllabus, so that gets added. And then this book I actually picked back up from my donation pile because this has been sitting on my shelf for about a year and a half. I decided I was going to donate it because I just thought the premise wasn't for me, and I saw a couple more videos on it, and I've been in the mood for some more body horror, whatever stuff in general. So Tender Is the Flesh has made it back into my physical TBR, and I think this also meets the criteria. Yep, this meets the criteria of my summer syllabus as well. So that is the last book. Now for my remaining TBR. These books have been purchased and on my physical TBR for quite some time, and I just can't seem to make heads or tails of whether or not I actually want to read them. The Sirens of Titan by Kurt Vonnegut, I have gotten like halfway through twice. I guess I am looking for the lightning in the bottle that Slaughterhouse-Five was, which is one of my favorite books of all time. It's not hitting the same, which is okay. I think I might need to do more research on Kurt Vonnegut's like bibliography, because I want to read more of him, but I don't know what to read of him. So this stays because I feel like one day I'm going to pick this up since I've already read some of it. I know what the vibes are and I will finish it, but we'll see. Love in the Time of Cholera is another book that I've gotten 100 pages into a couple of times and I keep putting it down, and I don't know why, because I love reading this book, but I cannot make the commitment to finish it. But this will stay on my physical TBR because I know that I will finish reading this. Hard-Boiled Wonderland and the End of the World by Haruki Murakami is a book that I picked up after I read The Colorless Tsukuru Tazaki and His Years of Pilgrimage. And I loved that book. This book is very different from that book, and I think I may have read the one weird book of the works of Murakami, to be determined on that. But I enjoyed this book, but it is very, very absurd, and it's taken me a lot to get into the world. And so I have started and stopped this book a couple of times, but it's very immersive. I don't really know why I'm having trouble reading it. It's just one of those books that I think I just really have to have the taste for. I'm probably gonna add this book to my summer syllabus now that I think about it, but we'll see. Neil Gaiman's Neverwhere. So I have never read Neil Gaiman. I know Neil Gaiman is like a very prolific author and I want to like it, but I've started it a couple of times and it just really didn't grab me. So I don't know about this one. I'm interested in it, but I just don't know if I'm the audience for this book. Also, I am very particular about fantasy, especially urban fantasy, which is my favorite fantasy genre. So there is that. Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. I don't know why I bought this. I feel like I have to keep it because it's a classic and I will eventually read it. But as we know from the Wuthering Heights video, not really a fan of English literature, but I'm hoping that because it's a comedy, I'm going to enjoy it more. I don't really know. So this stays as a testament to my lack of motivation to read it. And then finally, Demon Copperhead by Barbara Kingsolver. This book I have also read the first 100 pages of probably about twice. I love a tragedy. I love pain and suffering, but I also like reading about other people's lived experiences. And this is a book that I was really looking forward to reading, and I'm just finding it a little bit daunting. Every time I pick it up, I'm like, oh my God, this is so much. And then I put it down and then I don't pick it back up and then I got to start all over again. So this is also staying on my physical TBR because I know I will get to it eventually. And if I donate this book, I know that I'm going to be pissed at myself for donating it and not just waiting until it was the appropriate time to read it. That is my physical TBR. I'm not going to be buying any books until the end of the summer. So probably like September. And the reason for this is because, as I said, my TBR is the biggest that it's ever been. And honestly, having a physical TBR low-key stresses me out. 99% of the books that are on my shelves, I have read. Besides maybe a couple of them. I have about 75 books that I have currently, which compared to overconsumption talk is not a lot. But like I said, I like to have a curated library because what I want is for someone to look at all of the books that I own and understand who I am as a person. And I feel like the one-off readings of books that I didn't like, or books that I hate read, or things along those lines are not indicative of who I am as a person. There are plenty of books that are not classics, that are not literature, that I have on my shelves. I have this one super cute book about like two witches owning a cafe together. And I love that. And that feels like it's representative of who I am as a person, or at least a part of who I am as a person. And so I keep that on my shelf. But, you know, like the Ayn Rand book that I hate read in high school, that's getting donated. I don't feel like it deserves the space that it takes up on my shelves. So having a physical TBR really stresses me out. And I also don't put books on my shelves until I finish them most of the time. So with that, it's just this giant pile of books that just haunts me. And I don't really enjoy that. I like finishing things, and I don't like to feel like reading is a chore that I have to finish in order to feel good. And also because I read several books at a time throughout a season or a year, it's just not optimal for me to have more books on hand than necessary, especially because I have a Barnes & Noble that is 5 minutes from my house. So if I really wanted a book, or I wanted the next one in the series, I could just go to the Barnes & Noble and get it. That is my TBR tour, and let me know how you keep your books and how you keep your physical TBRs, if you have more of a digital TBR. I try not to have a digital TBR, but I want to hear your thoughts on it. And yeah, I guess let me know how I'm doing as far as like under consumption wise, because I know that I could always use a little bit more work on that, as we all could. But I would just love to hear your thoughts, and thank you for watching.